She stood there again, right outside my porch, holding that same fake HOA clipboard like she owned the whole damn street. "You're violating neighborhood code, again," she snapped, eyes darting at my door. I didn't even answer this time. I'd heard it all before: trash bins, grass length, porch lights. She had a rule for everything. But what she didn't know was that last night, I'd finally had enough. The last time she came, she actually walked into my house, uninvited. She claimed she needed to inspect my smoke alarms. I told her if she ever stepped foot inside again, I'd call the real cops, not her fake HOA committee. She laughed right in my face and said, "You won't dare. People like you don't last long here." That line stuck with me all night. People like you. So I set it up. I rigged the doorpost with a blue paint trap, harmless, just enough to mark anyone trying to break in. And this morning, when I saw her marching toward my porch again, phone in hand, yelling something about violations, I almost smiled. She twisted the handle, pushed the door open halfway, and splat, bright blue paint exploded all over her white blouse, dripping down her face, her hair, everything. She screamed so loud, 2 neighbors came running. "You assaulted me," she shouted, waving her hands like she'd been stabbed. I just leaned on the porch railing and said, calm as ever, "Karen, you just trespassed, again." Her voice cracked with rage. "I'll call the police. You'll be arrested for this." And that's when I saw it, the same fake HOA badge clipped to her belt. My chest tightened. This wasn't just about a nosy neighbor anymore. She was pretending to be authority. She stormed off, covered in paint, screaming, "You're finished in this neighborhood." But as she disappeared down the street, I noticed something strange. She didn't go toward her house. She went straight to a black SUV parked at the corner. Windows tinted, engine running. That's when I realized she wasn't acting alone. I watched from my window as Karen climbed into that black SUV, slamming the door so hard it echoed down the block. The engine roared, and the car didn't move for a while, like they were waiting for something. I pulled out my phone and started recording. After what she'd done, I wasn't taking any more chances. A few minutes later, my doorbell rang. I checked the camera feed. 2 men in black uniforms stood outside, no police insignia, no name tags. One of them shouted, "Sir, we're with the HOA enforcement team. Step outside now." My stomach twisted. HOA enforcement team? That wasn't even a real thing. Karen had actually brought fake officers to my house. I cracked the window open just enough to talk. "You got a warrant?" I asked. One of them smirked. "We don't need one. HOA authorization covers this entire block." Behind them, Karen stood with her arms crossed, paint still dripping from her sleeves, a grin of pure revenge spreading across her face. I could feel my pulse in my throat. My little daughter, Lily, peeked out from behind the curtain, whispering, "Daddy, are they bad people?" I told her to go back to her room. I couldn't let her see what might happen next. The men started pounding harder. "Open the door, sir, or we'll enter by force." Karen yelled, "He's hiding something illegal inside. He attacked me." Her voice cracked, dramatic as always. But this time, it wasn't just words, it was a setup. I grabbed my phone and dialed the sheriff's office directly. "This is private property," I told the men through the window. "If you cross that line, you're breaking the law." They froze for a moment, unsure. I kept the camera on them, zooming in on their fake badges. Karen shouted, "Don't listen to him. He's dangerous." But then I noticed something, a red light blinking inside the SUV. A dash cam. She was recording too. That's when it hit me. She wasn't just harassing me, she was trying to build a case. But what she didn't know was that every second of her trespassing, every lie she told, was already being streamed live from my porch cam, straight to the cloud. And the best part, that feed was automatically shared with my lawyer. Karen's smirk faded when the real sheriff's cruiser turned the corner. Blue lights flashed against her paint-covered face. The fake HOA officers stiffened instantly, whispering to each other like they'd just seen a ghost. I didn't move. I just stood on my porch, phone still recording, while my camera caught everything in perfect detail. The sheriff stepped out, a tall man with calm eyes who looked like he'd seen enough nonsense for one day. "What's going on here?" he asked, his tone sharp. Karen rushed forward before I could speak, pointing at me with trembling fingers. "That man attacked me. He set a trap on his door. Look at me." The sheriff's gaze slowly moved from her blue-stained blouse to the two fake officers behind her. "Ma'am," he said quietly, "where's your official HOA identification?" Karen froze. I don't need to show you that. I'm the acting president of the Ridgewood Committee." She stammered. He raised an eyebrow. "Funny. Because Ridgewood HOA was dissolved 3 years ago after a fraud investigation." The whole street went silent. Even the fake officers looked shocked. Karen tried to laugh it off. No, that's not true. I'm just trying to. Step back, ma'am," the sheriff cut her off. "Sir," he said to me, "do you have footage of what happened?" I handed him my phone, my voice steady. "Everything's recorded, door camera, live feed, all stored to the cloud. And I already sent a copy to my attorney." Karen's face went pale. You can't do that. That's invasion of privacy," she shouted. The sheriff turned toward her slowly, his expression darkening. "You broke into his home. You brought fake officers. You impersonated HOA authority. And you're worried about privacy." The two men in black uniforms started backing away, but the sheriff's deputy had already arrived, blocking the SUV with his car. "Nobody leaves," he ordered. Karen's voice cracked again, but this time it wasn't confidence, it was fear. "You don't understand. He's dangerous. He's hiding something. He's not who he says he is." The sheriff looked at me, curious. "Anything you want to tell me, sir?" I took a deep breath. "Yeah, I think it's time she finds out who she's been messing with." Karen blinked fast, her lips trembling. "What's that supposed to mean?" she asked, trying to sound bold, but her voice cracked halfway through. The sheriff folded his arms, waiting. I reached into my jacket and pulled out a small leather wallet, not a regular one, but a badge holder. When the light caught it, the gold emblem gleamed clear as day. U.S. Federal Property Inspector, it read. The sheriff's eyebrows shot up. Karen stumbled back a step. You're lying," she stuttered. "You faked that. You're just some handyman who moved in here last year." I looked straight at her. "No, Karen. I was assigned to review fraudulent HOA practices in this area. Guess whose name came up the most?" Her jaw dropped, but I kept going. "You've been posting fake notices, collecting illegal maintenance fees, and threatening homeowners to control this neighborhood. Everything's documented. Every single complaint leads back to you." The sheriff's tone hardened. "Is that true, ma'am?" Karen shook her head wildly, blue paint flicking off her hair. "No. He's twisting things. He's making this up. He set me up." She turned to the fake officers, but they avoided her eyes completely. One finally muttered, We were just doing what she told us. She said she had authority." The sheriff pulled out his cuffs. "You two, hands where I can see them." He turned to Karen, who started backing away, muttering under her breath, "You'll regret this. You don't know who I am." "Oh, I do," I said quietly. "You're the reason 3 families moved out of here scared. You made their kids cry over lawn decorations and noise complaints. But you picked the wrong house this time." The deputy read her rights as she screamed, "This isn't over. I'll sue all of you." The neighbors gathered around, filming everything, murmuring things like, "She finally got caught." One woman whispered, "That's karma right there." As the sheriff led Karen to the SUV, she turned to glare at me one last time. "You'll pay for this," she hissed. I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Karen, I already did. You just didn't know the receipt came with a badge." Karen was shoved into the back of the cruiser, still yelling, her voice cracking with every word. "You're all corrupt. I'll get my lawyer." The blue paint on her face made her look almost unreal, like a symbol of her own lies staining her clean image. The neighbors stayed outside, whispering, filming, gasping. The woman who terrorized them for years was finally being taken away. The sheriff turned to me and nodded. "We'll be in touch, sir. Thank you for keeping calm." I gave a faint smile. "I've dealt with worse, just never this close to home." He chuckled softly, shaking his head. "You handled it better than most." As the cruisers pulled away, the street felt different, quiet, but lighter somehow. Lily ran out and hugged my leg, looking up at me. "Daddy, is the bad lady gone?" I knelt down, brushing her hair back gently. "Yeah, sweetheart. She won't bother anyone anymore." That night, I sat on the porch, looking at the faint blue stain still splashed across the doorpost. It almost made me laugh. All that chaos, over paint. But to me, it wasn't just paint, it was proof. Proof that people like her could be stopped without losing who we are. My neighbor, Mark, came over holding 2 beers. Man, you really did it, he said, sitting beside me. She made all of us miserable. I still can't believe you were federal. I took the beer and said, I wasn't supposed to tell anyone, but after what she did, hiding it didn't feel right anymore. He nodded. Guess justice finally found its way here. I looked up at the quiet street, the stars faint above the rooftops. Yeah, I said softly. Sometimes, you don't need to fight dirty, you just need to be ready when the truth knocks back. The next morning, I got a letter from the sheriff's office. Karen had been charged with trespassing, impersonating an officer, and HOA fraud. The fake officers turned on her, admitting she'd been paying them to scare residents. I pinned that letter on my fridge right next to Lily's drawing, a stick figure family smiling under a blue sky. She'd written under it in crooked letters, "Our home." I smiled. That's right, kiddo, I whispered. Our home. No one takes that from us. And somewhere deep down, I knew, every neighbor on that street slept a little easier that night. Viral line. She tried to paint me as the villain, but ended up wearing her own truth.